A few years ago, I was visiting some of my family who live in Spain. They live on the southeast coast of Spain. And there was some holy holiday that was taking place when we were visiting. And it was the kind of like what you did on that day was you went for a picnic down on the beach at like dusk, and then when it crossed over into nighttime, you lit up this these candles that kind of like took up this kite thing that floated up into the air, and you did it with your honey, and then you shared a smooch afterwards, and a besito. And so anyway, that's what we did. We packed a big picnic and got a bunch of beers and some vino, and then went down the beach. And we got there eating and drinking, and then just in the distance, I could see this dude, this middle-aged fella, hanging around by himself, and he was doing like van life. He was clearly like existing in his own van, and so I noticed him, and then I just went back to my family and was just hanging out. And then a little while later, I went down to the water, dipped my toes into the water, and the old middle-aged geezer was there. He was also checking out the water, and he kind of made an effort to introduce himself to me. And I had a couple of San Miguel, so I was feeling pretty chatty, and got chatty to him. And yeah, he kind of like he ingratiated himself with me. So I was like, "Come over, come sit down." And so he came and joined us, and I offered him a beer, and he's just like telling me about his life. And essentially, he's from England, and he used to visit Spain on holidays, and then with his ex wife, and then um so basically when he retired, he bought a van, and then like um yeah, then he decided to live in Spain full time, and just kind of live that hashtag van life, baby. Woo! And so he's telling me all about this, and at a certain point, I realized like, oh, we've got an oversharer here. He's like not asking like, how you doing, mate? Like it was all him. Probably a bit of a lonely guy, but then I remember I asked him, I was like, oh, so how have you settled into living life in Spain, learning the language? And he was like, yeah, it's been pretty easy for me. I've loved every minute of it, and I've picked up the language, and I feel like I'm settling in really well. And then he took a beat, and then he went, can't say the same for Ange. Ange being his ex-wife. And yeah, and then so for the rest of the evening, we were only there for a couple of hours or whatever. He just managed to drop in Ange all the time. I was hearing about Ange all the fucking time. And I was like, why are you telling me about Ange? I'm never gonna meet Ange. Sure, you can tell me that you had an ex-wife and then you split up when you got retired and when you moved over here, but why are you weaving Ange into every sentence you're uttering from your mouth? And I realized that's a huge red flag with someone. When someone weaves in their ex into every conversation. Of course, we've all got a history, folks. I understand. Um, and yeah, if you're talking about yourself, you're gonna talk about your story. The people who've played major or supporting roles are gonna appear occasionally in your story, but this is uh this is a public service announcement. If you're one of these people who just either consciously or subconsciously weave your ex into every conversation, I'm letting you know it's not good form. It creeps people out. Um, it makes you seem like a psychopath. It makes you seem like you're perhaps still not over them. If you're a younger person, it kind of just you're like you're proving. We're like, yeah, we get it. You've had sex before. You have an ex. Um, and or it's just a sign of like blunt trauma. Like this relationship is so fucking toxic. Now you're walking around like a I don't know, like a fucking like a bird. Polly want a cracker? You're just repeating the same shit over and over again because it was such a impactful period and you're still not out of it. So yeah, watch out for that. And I think it's also, it is a little strange out there because I had a buddy of mine who went through a divorce relatively early in his life. And he was telling me that he's run into this thing where it's it's bitten him where he's brought up the divorce too early on dates where he's like gotten onto the Tinder, he's met some bird for a drink, and then if he drops the fact that he's a divorced guy on the first or second date, the chick can be like, hold up, you're thinking that, like, are you bringing this up? They put two and two together and get five. Basically, they're like, oh, he's bringing this up. Holy shit, he's thinking about me, that he's maybe wants to get married to me. This is going too fast, and then they kind of ghost you. So that can be a problem. Or if you don't bring up the ex until too late in the piece, it's kind of like, well, that's a red flag as well, because it's like, what else? What else is this fucking scumbag hiding? Ex-wife? Were you an affiliate of Jeffrey Epstein? They can really start jumping to conclusions if you leave out some important details about your past and don't bring things up early enough. So I get it. It's a minefield out there. But try not to weave your ex into every conversation like old mate on the beach that night. Because in the end, I felt like saying to him, fucking hell, mate, I know more about Ange than I do you. And we've been necking San Miguel's for 3 hours. 3 horas, mi amigo. So anyway, that's my public service announcement. If you're weaving your ex into every convo, try and stop it. It'll help your life out a lot. Peace out.